Hi, everyone. Chris Chinnock here for Insight Media. I'm here with John Fan, the chairman of Lightning Silicon Technology, LST for short. We wanted to have a little chat about the organization and what the products that they're developing and what's coming up at CES. So, John, tell us a little bit more about Lightning Silicon and how it was organized and spun out, please.
Good afternoon, Chris. Thank you for inviting me here. I think to start with the Lightning Silicon of LST, we really had to go back 2 years ago, of which we have a webinar. I still maybe whether you remember April and May of 2021. We have a webinar series of 3 webinars, and we actually talk about what the coming headset should look like, the smart headset, which we think is the next generation after smartphones. And in that webinar series, we talk about certain technologies. And yet, now April, no, actually it's June this year, Apple come out with the VisionPro. And there are quite a few things that we talk about in the webinar is really very much like what the VisionPro does. And I think it's important to know what it is. Then you understand what Lightning LST is supposed to do. First of all, in the webinar series, which I think you probably would provide a link to that, we said AR is not what it is. People would need VR, MR, with video see-through, not optical see-through. And that was a very controversial topic, because as you know, at that time, quite a few big companies are working on optical view see-through. And we say, no, video see-through is the way with cameras. And Apple VisionPro obviously has a lot of cameras. And that's the way I think it should be. The second thing and the third thing that's come out is clear, is that the display, should be done. At that time, we predicted it should be optical OLED on silicon, and sure enough, it is OLED on silicon. And then on the optics, we say it should be pancake-like. The pancake optics, which actually we have a trademark for, actually is the way to magnify the image at the thinnest format, smallest format. Again, the Apple VisionPro fully use OLED on silicon and Pancake. With this, I think it becomes very clear what LST is supposed to do. Now, LST is a 1-year-old startup. It's spun out of Kopin, of which I'm now the chairman, and the whole technical team and business team are OLED on silicon and optical design, Pancake optical design, spun out since the last CES now, exactly 1 year ago. Our focus is, in fact, to develop OLED on silicon and Pancake optics to make the headsets useful and cheaper and lighter.
Okay, that makes sense, and it's nice to see that what you were talking about at least a couple of years ago with OLED on silicon and microdisplays and Pancake optics has kind of become, well, the accepted solution. So you were very prescient in that regard.
Yeah, I think another thing we want to stress it is a video see-through that really explain what we are doing. The Pancake optics is a solution instead of other optical see-through solutions.
Yeah. So let's talk about LST, Lightning Silicon Technology. It's a U.S. company. So I believe 20% of the company is owned by Kopin, at least the licensing part, and then the rest of the employees and management are also the owners of the company, correct?
That's right, Chris. It's a fully U.S. owned company.
Okay. And so let's talk about the products. What are you going to design? What are you going to sell?
Yes, I think that is very important, and I think that's what we even a few years ago talked about. I think for any smart headsets to be adopted by the consumer, certainly by consumer, maybe even by commercial enterprises people is the headset has to be very lightweight. People normally do not like to wear things on their head. Yeah, you and I both wear eyeglasses, but the eyeglasses are very light. They're usually 30, 40 grams or maybe even lower. Anything that's very heavy on the head is very difficult to use for a long period of time. So I think the headset has to be very lightweight. And certainly for consumer, it had to be low cost. Should have low power, hopefully. The power consumption is low. I think the current headsets in the market do not satisfy that. They are both too heavy. Especially, I think the weight is something way out of what people can use. I think the current headsets usually around 300-400 grams, or maybe even 500 grams. It should be around 100 grams, 150 grams or lower. Second, the cost. I think the cost had to go down for at least a factor 2 or 3 below to the point of $1,000 retail price or lower. And the power consumption also had to go lower, so you can use it for a long period of time. So our goal at LST is to try developing core components. We're components selling company, make the display very efficient, small, low cost, and also make optics very efficient, low cost, lightweight. And that's our goal. This is our mission statement.
Okay. So that means, as I understand it, that you will be designing the OLED-on-Silicon backplanes, the silicon devices. You will also then be designing optical components and selling displays and optical solutions. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chris. As you well know, we spun out for Kopin, licensed the IP. We work on displays on silicon since early 1990s, and with about 30 years of experience of making displays on silicon. First, we of course do LCD on silicon, then we do OLED on silicon. We also do LED on silicon. So our company is really everything's on silicon. We believe in micro displays, especially the future micro display. Our current should be all on silicon. In fact, you should have many of the silicon kind of electronics embedded in the device. So the micro display, like all the micro display, even LCD micro displays, is really a silicon IC with optical elements staying on top of it. So that's one thing. The second part of the optics is that once you have a micro display, you have to expand and magnify the image in the smallest form factor to go to maybe 40, 30,000 in area, X in the area. It's very, very hard to do because you also want to preserve the high performance. So we're very good at it because we've been working on Pancakes for over 20 years. So Pancake optics is where our core competence is, as well as silicon backplane to drive displays. And we continue to do so, and I think we're very good at it.
Okay. So you designed the backplane, the silicon backplane, that gets outsourced, of course, to a foundry. But you also have partners to do the OLED front plane. Specifically, it's Lakeside in China. So tell us more about those companies and that relationship, please.
Yes. See, what happened is we designed the silicon backplane, which is actually very has a lot of know-how in there, because you want a backplane not only to drive the display at very high speed, high performance, but also low power. We especially focus on low power because we think that this is a wearable device. Power is also very, very critical. And we've been looking at power, how to save power for the last 20 years. So that's very, very important. And then what we do after we design it, we send to the foundries, the silicon foundries to make the IC circuits. And that one we actually use quite a lot of places. So some of the partners are in Korea, some of the partners in Japan, is actually in Taiwan. On the OLED part, see, LCD, for LCD on silicon, Kopin usually do the LCD themselves, whether it's very electric LCD by FDD part of a Kopin, or LCD ourselves in our Westboro site. For OLED, we actually look at partners to deposit OLED. As you well know, we have partners before, like a BOE and other foundries. So our backplane is very transparent to really any OLED deposition companies. So they can deposit on it. We specially design our OLED, our backplanes as such, so we can provide to other OLED deposition companies. So our current partners are really Lakeside, who has been working with us for the last 3 years now and doing very good job.
Okay. And I believe Lakeside now has an 8-inch fab that they're running at least 2 shifts on, maybe going to 3 shifts. And they're in the process of building out a 12-inch fab, correct?
Yeah, that's a very exciting part. The last 3 years working with Lakeside, they have a running 8-inch fab. In fact, they're focused on using double junctions, which we advocate for quite a few time. And they have provided a lot of good micro display, OLED-on-Silicon display for us. They're getting busy. There are quite a lot of structures there. Our backplane alone, LST, has 7 different actually 8 different design displays, OLED-on-Silicon, and they have also provide a lot of display to the market right now. They're very busy. There are 2 shifts now. One of their biggest customer is Panasonic, who's also our partner. Panasonic is putting together, actually start selling headsets, VR headsets for actually for a lot of B2B applications, and using our 1.3-inch 2.6K OLED. So that is actually consume quite a lot of their capacity, but they have other activities going on. So they already have 2 shifts and think about 3 shifts. And then because also of that, they recognize if the MI headset like Apple Pro comes out, there will be a lot of high capacity need. So they're building this 12-inch fab, again in China. It's actually Yixing, China. I actually visited that place about 2 weeks ago. It's amazing the construction going on. There are hundreds of people now in the site building the facility. And now it's expected to be running by the end of next year.
So what is the kind of differentiating attributes of this fab? How is it different than some of the other OLED-on-Silicon fabs that like BOE and Sony have, for example?
Yeah, this is actually very, as a hindsight becomes very clear. I think OLED-on-Silicon, of course, we believe it will be the display of choice, technology of choice for the coming MR headsets, which I think Apple put together very nicely. The whole concept is definitely correct. If it's really MR headset going to take off, we actually calculate about 20 of those lines, 12-inch lines are needed. 20.
Wow.
So, but currently there are a few lines out there. Sony has a line, BOE has a line, and CI has a line. They're all 12 inches. Sony's line is over 7 years old, and BOE and CI lines is all 4 or 5 years old. I think what Lakeside have done or L2S have done is that they started with an 8-inch line to learn a lot of things going on, what is needed. So now with all the things that they understood, they designed a most modern line for a 12-inch. So the line coming up next year, by the end of next year, will be the most modern 12-inch line in the entire world. In fact, all the other lines are 4 or 5 years old or longer. And they were too early. A lot of things were not known was needed to get high yield, low cost, high efficient line. So the new line will be fully. I've seen the design is fully automated with a lot of robots running it. It's a 12-inch fab. It's like an IC fab actually.
Yep.
It is built like an IC fab because you are handling those silicon wafer, which is 12-inch in diameter. So and also there's a certain amount of vibration aligners, the free aligners you need, and all those things for very, very high resolution. Because when you first built the 6-inch, 12-inch line by Sony, nobody imagined that OLED on silicon would be that high resolutions. They were looking for lower resolution display. But right now for MR headset, you need at least 3K, maybe 4K display, and very small, and very high resolution, very high yield, low cost, high throughput, all the very highly demanding requirements, I think was not anticipated when those early lines were built.
Okay. So going with the highest quality or at least near highest quality ASML aligners, for example, robots for automation to reduce cleanliness and handling, because I think it's the lack of aligner accuracy, vibrations, as you say, and cleanliness, which has been the yield problem, let's say, for OLED on silicon. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think I'm glad you mentioned the L2S actually ordered 2 ASML aligners. In fact, they announced a few weeks ago. And then the equipment itself, the OLED deposition equipment, that decision has not been announced. I pretty much know, but it will be announced soon too.
Okay.
And I also seen the design for the fab is designed by a company in China who designed all the LCD production fabs in China. There's a big LCDs and OLED fabs for cell phones. So it is very, I think it's announced, but I probably should not name the company. It's a very large company. So it's all very well designed and put together. So I believe when that fab is going in, and we know we do 1.3-inch, 2.6K display for Panasonic. It's in production on the 8-inch line. We pretty much identify what's needed in order to get high yield, high performance for the 12-inch line. So we'll be delaying buying the equipment until we know exactly what's needed to get a high production, high yield.
Okay. And what kind of yields do you think are necessary to reduce the cost by a factor of 2 or factor of 3, you think?
Yeah, I think, Chris, is a very good question. Right now, I think the VisionPro, which is, I think the concept of the device is very good. The price should be down, and as I think Apple already said, it should be down at least factor of 3, maybe 4, maybe. So the way to get lower costs is, of course, get higher yield.
Right.
And a bigger throughput. Volume always drive the thing. So you go to 12-inch. I don't think we can go to 18-inch. I think we're going to stay with 12-inch.
Yeah.
Then your fab had to be very clean and fully automated, as much automation as possible to get high yield. It's not just the labor cost; it's the high yield. And another thing is I always believe it should be more like an IC. The display should go smaller and smaller if you can. and also the optics, which is corresponding part, should correspondingly get higher magnification.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you can maintain the large image, which I think is needed. I'm sure you need. I think at least for the MR headset, I think you're one's looking for the FOV of 90 degrees or higher. And yet you want display small, but you have to have optics to go with it. So our goal is always smaller display, higher magnifications, high yield on every score, and bring the cost down by a factor of maybe 3 or 4, bring the weight down by a factor of 3 or 4.
Okay. Okay. Then those should all be theoretically achievable in perhaps a year in 2025 products.
That would be overly optimistic.
Okay.
However, our goal is try to achieve that 2 or 3 years from now.
2 or 3. Okay.
Remember, the fab itself will not be running until the end of next year.
Right.
And it's no question about it. We were planning to do it a year earlier, but once we start production of 1.3 inch, 2.6K, we recognize we really had to be the 12-inch fab had to be well designed. So we actually delay our decisions of the fab design as well as the equipment selections until we recognize what's needed. So I think that little delay is actually very appropriate.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it, indeed.
Yeah.
So that 1.3 inch 2.4K resolution display is kind of your premier product that's in production. Panasonic will be using it. So tell us some of the key specifications for that device.
Yeah, I think in fact our relationship with Panasonic and Lakeside, which now of course L2S, as you would know, Lakeside is now a subsidiary of L2S. Which is formed to create that 12-inch fab. We've been working with Lakeside and Panasonic for almost close to 5 years with this 2.6K, 1.3-inch display OLED-on-Silicon in mind. And we're in charge of designing the backplane. Lakeside deposit OLED, and Panasonic built the headset. That was the food chain we put together, and we put in about 5 years. And Panasonic actually spent also quite a lot of money on it. So it's a very good relationship. And what happened is Panasonic from day one, they write a very, very tight spec on the 2.6. They want 120 hertz frame rate. And they want a full HDR. Remember, Panasonic built a lot of beautiful TVs.
They do.
So they have very, very tight requirement on how many bits of color you need. You need 30 bits of color, and you also need very, very good color coordinates, purity. So it was a very, very tough requirement, and I'm very glad to say we've satisfied it. And that's why they are now going to mass production. As far as we know, and I think we're pretty convinced of that, there's no other OLED display on silicon has this type of performance. The full 120 hertz frame, everybody's around 90 frames per second.
Right.
Okay. And as far as we know, I don't think people even have 30 bits color, which we do.
Right.
So this is a very is a totally world-class display, and shockingly, it's actually start volume production now.
That's great. So I guess the luminance doesn't have to be super high. It's for the application.
That's a good question. The MR headset is very different from AR headset. Because it is in some ways VR with video see-through. So anything that your eyes, I mean, your eyes will not entertain anything over 500 nits to your eyes anyway. So yeah, the display a thousand nits, even with Pancake optic, which is optical efficiency is around 10%, is very adequate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and sometimes people talk about having a 10% duty cycle as well for motion stability.
That's right. I think that especially for some gamers, people do want to see. I think, but there are a lot of things they can design in to avoid to reduce the motion effects. And we obviously put in quite a lot of those little. I wouldn't call it tricks, but the things that your features you put in there to reduce the motion effects. Yeah.
Okay. So Apple has also talked about going to a 4K by 4K display, and others have as well. I presume that you've been thinking about that?
Yeah, the 4K is a very interesting issue. I think it all depends on your FOV. For a while, I mean, remember there are three types of headsets when people talk about AR, VR, and MR. And MR is a mixed reality, VR is a fully virtual, and AR is a augmented reality. And I think each one have a different FOVs, viewing angles. I think MR is somewhere in between. VR people might be one even bigger. So FOV maybe, God knows. Some people at one time talk about 150 degrees. I think MR is kind of settling around 90. AR, nobody knows, probably be small, even smaller. So if you go around 150 degrees, then I mean, you may want to have resolutions of the display maybe even more than 4K by 4K. Some people even one time talk about 6K, maybe 8K. MR is very interesting thing. I think it is straddled between 2.6 or 3K by 3K or 2.6 by 2.6 and 4K by 4K. Depends on, there might be two set of products in there. One for consumer product, which may be around 2.6K, which it looks like everybody settled on that. For B2B or very high resolution performance requirement, higher price is 4K. Right. So I think nobody talk about anything more than 4K now. Yeah.
Right. So on the Panasonic headset, I believe that's a 95-degree field of view with the 2.6K. So do you know what the pixels per degree is on that then?
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. So right now we're still I will not say it's debating. The current FOV is around a little bit less than 100 degrees. Okay. So we have on this CES, we're going to present two types of optics for this type of headset, for MR headsets. One is we call MP105. It's all plastic. Everybody, even the Panasonic current one, has one glass element in there. Okay. We managed to replace that glass element. So now it's all plastic, and the FOV is 105. As far as we know, for 1.3-inch display, which we use, FOV anything over 100 has not been achieved yet, glass or plastic. So this time is the first time we're going to announce and demonstrate 105-degree all plastic Pancake optics on 1.3-inch. I think also that design was good enough. In fact, we designed it for not only 2.6K, we designed it for 4K. So 4K display going there will also has all the resolutions needed at the NTF, which NTF is a very subtle number, but we already calculated out and designed it for 4K would be also okay. So that's 105. Now we also designed another one optics for 1.3 95 degrees. Now why you have two different types? It's all because of some of the performance I relieve iBox. So I believe anyway, the 95 is more tailored for B2B type of application where you can wear it for a long period of time and it's easier to your eyes.
Bigger eye
105,
box.
yeah, 105 is a smaller eye box, but it has a huge view. When you look at it, it really have a very, very big immersive feeling in there. And we tested for two groups in Panasonic. One group is B2B, one to B2C. Shockingly, the B2C guys want 105 and B2B guys want 95.
Right.
So what we do is on this CES, for the first time, of course, we demonstrate to Panasonic, to our partners. We're going to show it to everybody. Welcome to see it. And they can pick and choose. We'll be showing that at the booth down on the floor, as well as in our suite in the CES.
Okay. Yeah, and you were actually one of the companies that pioneered the development of all plastic pancake optics by getting the materials that have that birefringence that's very stable.
Yeah, I think Chris, you hit it right. I think so what happened is I won't go into detail how the pancake optics work, but it requires us have a low vat birefringence material, and plastic usually have problems. Either they started with higher birefringence, or either you have low birefringence, and when you process it, the birefringence come back. Okay?
Right.
So there's a lot of material processing know-how in there, how to make it right, and because you are looking for 2.6K or 4K, very high resolutions. So those are the know-hows that we have, and it took us a while to develop it and to control it, and now we're ready to go to production with it. Yeah.
So I presume you're now ready to sample customers, or will that happen maybe in Q1 next year? Is that about right?
Yeah, I think we're negotiating with one customer now for volume production early next year, first Q1 next year.
Okay.
And that's certainly we get started. We intend to at least find a couple more partners so we can ramp it up next year. So we're confident that we can get into mass production with this design.
Okay, and this is not exclusive to any one customer. Many companies could buy these pancake optics from you.
Oh yes, I actually think our business model is in fact, I think it's a good point to talk about business model. We provide displays, backplanes, and optics to select the customer. I mean, capacity, at least at the beginning, until the 12-inch fab is ready, or we have other 12-inch fab partners are limited. But optics, we're ramping up. We will provide to our partners. Obviously, we're looking for large partners we can take quantities. We're looking for volume production. So we're open to everybody who can be our good partners. Yeah.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about what you'll be showing at CES. Is there any more you wanted to add to what will be shown there?
Yeah, I think CES we have multiple goals anyway. First of all, is our coming out party. The company was started at CES timing last year. After 1 year, we got our solid footing now. So we are going to raise our banner, say we're open for business. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a booth in the Eureka Park. I think it's in Venetian. We talk about Lightning Silicon. So we're going to demonstrate 2.6K, and also going to show both binocular as well binocular our MP105 MP95 without 2.6K.
Good. So people can see the
So
difference.
people can see the whole image.
Yeah.
They can experience it.
Yeah.
And that is very important. Now, of course, Eureka Park is for startups, for new innovative startups. So it's not very big booth. Everybody has a small booth. So at least get people wet that when people want to go more in detail, they can go to our suite, which is in Palazzo. We always have it. Kopin always has a suite now. The LST has suite now upstairs, and you can have more private meeting, and we have more in-depth discussions. And that's where I encourage people who are interested in our optics or display or both, come to see us, and then we'll talk about it and see how we can help you. And then we have a reception on the 10th, which is the second day of CES. We normally always have reception. Kopin always have it. This time the LST and L2S will co-host a reception. Again, free drinks and food. That's what we normally do. But also we will have a special workshop, which we will. The title is not exactly picked yet, but is really what we think about is what do one need to make Apple VisionPro to be real, to be useful for consumers.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting topic. And then inside the topic, we actually has invited the one of the board members of L2S. Unfortunately, the president, the founder, Mr. Woody cannot make it this trip, but he asked one of his board members to come, and he will present maybe a 15-minute or 10-minute video to show the fab, the new 12-inch fab, not only the site, the building, but also what the equipment will be inside. I think it'll be very fascinating. Once you see it, you begin to recognize all our silicon is going to be real. It'll be something that people can use for consumers.
Can't wait to see it myself. That's great, John. Is there anything else we haven't talked about you want to add at this point?
Well, I think it is one thing. When I was in Asia, I just came back on a 3-week trip in Asia. I went to Japan, China, Hong Kong, and several other places. But I think there are I would say two type of thoughts going on right now.
Okay.
Some people actually got a little bit discouraged when they see this Apple VisionPro, because it is so heavy, it is so expensive, and they thought maybe this thing's many years away. Okay, so that part, and slow down their investment, slow down their re-examine their strategy. And some people actually see this, they can see the future, and they're not discouraged by the fact that there are some big challenges ahead of them. L2S is one of them. LST is one of them. We actually think this is actually the best opportunity to invest and push ahead. So it's going to be very interesting. It looks like it's dark moment, or it's not very bright. Actually, I think it's the beginning of a very bright moment. We're very encouraged. I think if you come to our booth or come to our reception, you recognize that many of the problems, challenges, cost, weight, and the technology are actually cleared. We now know it is video see-through. We now know it is OLED-on-Silicon. People may ask 4K whether it's a 2-chip or 1-chip approach, but that's a subset.
Yeah.
That's a subset. We can argue all about it, whether 2-chip or 1-chip. We obviously on the 2.6, we use a monolithic 1-chip approach, and it works well. 4K, we're examining it. Is it going to be 2-chip or 1-chip? But it is a subset. It's not a big thing. Pancake, same thing. A lot of people think it's a 2-element, 3-element pancake, but it's very clear it's not glass. It's all going to be plastic. It's all going to be plastic. And then the question is, what is FOV? I think people also settled now. It looks like it had to be 90 degrees or higher, but it doesn't have to be 150 degrees. So we now know. So a lot of things are narrowed down now. And the headset, the VisionPro is a very beautiful headset. I like the fact it has all these cameras, all this UX type of approach. So I'm very happy. I think, of course, the things still need a few more iterations of a year, maybe several years of improvement, like iPhone did. iPhone gone through 2 or 3 generations before it becomes real. I think it's going to be like that. And voila, you will see the next generation after smartphone. The next generation after smartphone is smart glass. So in that reception, I myself will give a little talk about the evolution of the smart glass, which is the same thing as the evolution of a smartphone. The smartphone evolved from an analog phone into that smartphone, of which is $1 trillion business. But can smart glass evolve from an eyeglass to smart glass? And how many years does it take? And how big the business? I think it's going to be, again, $1 trillion business, of which they evolve from a regular eyeglass that you and I wear to an smart glasses. And so, in fact, we already, as you will know, I also being a chairman of another company, Solos, which do smart glass, audio glass only, because I think you should start with audio, then you put other things in there. And we will actually talk a little bit about that in the reception. And we're going to actually show a very, very powerful audio glass, which works very well as a check glass. It's like a AR glass. And we're also going to demonstrate how you can translate everything. In a mass format, like you can have 10 people from room, everybody can speak different language, but then depending on which glass you're wearing, you'll be the language of choice to you.
Yeah.
And that one works now. We're actually thinking about how to show that in the reception. Maybe we're going to hand out half a dozen glass to people, and then people can talk about different language. You can hear different stuff. I mean, it's like a magical thing that we thought about 5 years ago, but voila, it is here in the reception. Now with the AI, the large language model, GPT, it's perfect. The voice recognition whisper is a perfect situation for the new AI.
Yeah.
So we actually now we actually changed Solos into called Solo Chat. It's a perfect chat glass. And translation, the way the translation is done is actually translated through GPT.
Okay.
So they actually recognize your context or your conversation is, and they translate beautifully. Once you do that, you don't go back. But normal translation usually is just a regular translation. But GPT actually understand your language model and understand your context, and then translate the right way. And it's going to keep on improving.
So, and how's the latency? Because that's a cloud-based service. So
there's a cloud-based. The latency is less than 1 millisecond now, so you're almost instantaneous.
Wow.
And again, you're talking about 5G, so we can see the future right in front of us. So this is the future. The next future is conversation, not text anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look forward to seeing
we will demonstrate part of that in the reception also. In addition to our optics and display, this is what we think about this. This is what's needed for the smart glass. You need a very, very good voice system like Whisper. You need very, very good display, OLED-on-Silicon. And you need very good Pancake optics, very thin, and yet give you very large magnification and good performance. And we have all 3 elements, and we're working on it for the last 15 years. That's what we thought it's going to be. and now we'll try to commercialize it.
John, thank you so much for your time. It's been very
Thank you,
informative.
Chris. Thank you very much, and welcome. I hope to see you guys all at CES.
Sounds great. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.